Okay, so if you paint miniatures and you've ever thought watercolor looks scary, I need you to know something. You already know how to use watercolor. You just don't know it yet. Today, I want to show you how watercolor behaves on a primed plastic surface, how it's different from paper, and why it's actually way less terrifying than it sounds. I chaos grabbed this plastic cap from something dog related, and I primed it white. We're working with that, very professional. I'm using 3 types of watercolor here. A pan watercolor, very pigmented, very juicy. A watercolor ink, very punchy, very smooth. And a liquid watercolor, which is basically pigment water in a bottle. The big difference between these? The pigment density and consistency, and that affects how I can control it. With pan watercolor, you're controlling water and pigment, which, by the way, many painters already do. You thin your acrylics and you glaze. The difference is watercolor starts translucent, so you don't need to fight it. If it looks weak, good. That's layer 1. Now, this is watercolor ink. Notice how much more dramatic it is. It's still translucent, but stronger. I love this for thin lines because it's smoother. You're not scrubbing paint out of a pan, you're just picking up pigment. Liquid watercolor feels different again. It's softer and smoother. You can get really clean lines without that slightly chalky drag that sometimes you get from the pans. Here's the part that many painters either love or panic about. It's when the watercolor reactivates, which means that if I let this dry and then add water, I can move it again. With acrylics, once it's dry, it's done. Watercolor, it's like, we could talk about it. You don't have to rush your blends. You can come back and soften things. And yes, you can also paint on top of that, which I will show you later. These are metallic watercolors, and they're honestly ridiculous. They show up beautifully, and they sit really nicely on both black and white undertones. Now, if the bottom layer is fully dry and you control your water, you can add details without reactivating everything underneath. It's a little touchy and it requires practice, but so does edge highlighting. We've survived worse. Also, this might surprise you. Watercolor on minis is actually really forgiving. On paper, watercolor can be terrifying. On primed plastic, you can scrub it off, soften it, or even wipe it off completely. I find it actually less stressful than acrylic sometimes. So if you're a mini painter and you've been curious about watercolor, I promise you, you already have the skill set. It's just creative cross-training. Next time, I'd love to show you how I combine watercolor and acrylic underpainting, because that's where it really gets fun.